Good morning and welcome to A Closer Look. I'm your host, Linda Fontaine. My guest this hour is Tom Patton. He is the Public Information Officer with the Kingsport Police Department. Thank you for being here today, Tom.
Thank you for having me.
Now tell me, what's going on at the police department? What's going on right now? You have a push. You guys are trying to get some things done, right?
Yes, and as we know, there's lots of companies that are struggling to fill their workforce right now, and police departments especially are facing challenges with recruitment and retention of police officers. It's just a different time that we're facing challenges that we didn't face 25 or 30 years ago. And of course, Kingsport's not unique to that. We see departments all across the country struggling with recruitment and retention of officers. Most departments are running about a 10% manpower shortage now.
Wow.
Kingsport's no different. We recently had as many as 15 vacancies, which is probably about the most we've ever had. We did recently hire 6 officers to fill some of those, so we're down to about 9 right now. And we have just opened up the application testing process again, hoping to hire some more. But we see more vacancies coming down the road. We have about 3 or 4 retirements coming up in the next year, plus there could be some other officers leave for other reasons during that time. So it's just a constant struggle to fill our workforce. But we are currently accepting applications, and I'd love to talk about that today and how somebody who might be interested in a career in law enforcement could go about applying.
That sounds great. Now, how many new positions are you looking for again right now?
We have 9 vacancies right now.
Okay.
Again, some additional ones coming toward the end of the year and going into next year. So, no problem with if the right folks come looking for a job, we are definitely looking to hire folks.
Okay, well, let's talk about this process. So tell us, what's the first step?
Well, most police departments go about this process similar to the way we do. And so what we do is we open up the application process for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And you apply with the City of Kingsport's website. You go to kingsporttn.gov, you click on a tab that says Jobs, and it takes you to an online application. That's the first step you have to do, you have to apply. And again, you can do that starting this past weekend on September 18th, going all the way until October 3rd. But that's the only time you can apply for this current testing process.
Okay, very good. So until October 3rd.
Yes.
So is it a long thing that they have to do online? Is this just like just an initial type of thing to see who's interested?
It'll take a while. They probably need to set aside about an hour.
Okay.
And they're going to have some information. Obviously, it's going to ask for basic information, but it's going to ask for your work history. It's going to ask for references, things like that.
Okay.
So those are some of the things that you're going to need to know. I think you'll need about 4 references, and they want your work history going back as far as they have individual blanks for it. But it takes a little bit of time. I would say about an hour would get the application process done.
And then once that's done, they wait.
Then you wait. The application period stops on October 3rd. The very next day, October 4th, Human Resources will start sending out some letters in the mail, traditional mail, as well as emails. So it's really important that people put the correct email address and phone number down on their application, and the individual will be notified of what the next step is. And of course, the next step is going to be the physical agility test. For years and years, we always had a written exam as the first step. And a few years ago, when we started seeing the numbers of applicants declining, we decided to do away with that written exam because it was really primarily serving as an initial filter to kind of narrow the pool of applicants.
Sure.
And that was when we had 300, 400 people applying, and now we usually have barely 100 or less. And so we just don't need that initial filter, so we go straight into the physical agility test. That'll take place on October 19th, and we're telling everybody who's applying that they need to understand this is a physical agility test. So we're hoping that folks have been doing a little bit of exercise prior to this and not coming in straight off the couch, because if they've not been exercising, they're in for a rude awakening that day.
That's a big problem. It is with the military as well, from what I understand.
Yes, it is.
You have a son in the military, and he was even saying it is a big, big issue for our safety as a country that there's a lot of people that can't pass the physical test these days.
Yes, people are certainly less physically fit than they once were, and you don't have to be an Olympic athlete or a CrossFit superstar to do this. It's very basic. We start off with a 1-mile run, which you just have to complete in 12 minutes, and that's not very fast. That's barely faster than a fast walk. So a 12-minute mile. If they pass that, they go to an obstacle course, which is a 1/4-mile obstacle course. It is filled with some basic obstacles, things like a ladder drill, a balance beam, figure eights, things like that. But then it has a couple that are kind of tough. One of those is an 8-foot wall, but there's a technique that we show you for doing that. And one of those is an officer down rescue, where you drag a 180-pound drag dummy simulating a wounded officer about 25 yards. And again, those are things that you can prepare for.
Sure.
The 8-foot wall is down at Domtar Park on our obstacle course 365 days a year. People are welcome to go down there and practice that anytime they like. And of course, you can simulate an officer down rescue by finding one of your buddies who weighs about 180 pounds and dragging them across the yard, just kind of getting the feel for that, to see what it's like. So it's not, a shocker when it happens to you there on the day. But that's the main two things. And if they pass those, we take the applications of those who pass those, go back into the office, and we start looking through applications. We look at their work experience, their life experience, and qualifications they might have. We are looking primarily for people with prior law enforcement experience. Those always come to the top of the pile. Prior corrections experience, military experience, in education. We look for people with associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, even master's degrees. But we're looking for anybody that brings something to the table already above and beyond. That doesn't necessarily mean that somebody who has nothing shining on their application will not get an interview. It just means that those who do tend to float toward the top. And then we bring those folks in for interviews. The first set of interviews is a board interview, which takes place the very next week, October 25th to the 29th. The individual will come in before a group of about 4 veteran officers, and they'll ask questions. Again, they're not looking for somebody who's been a police officer 20 years answer. They're just looking for good common sense answers and level-headedness, steadfastness, ethics, morals, things like that. And then those are scored, and then the top people on those board interviews are then moving on to the chief of police interviews, which is the following week. And then if the chief decides he wants to hire somebody, we of course have to do a thorough background investigation. There's a common misnomer in this country that police officers are not properly vetted, but they certainly are, especially here in Kingsport. We take about 3 weeks on one individual to look into their background, going all the way back to birth through the present, every place they've ever worked, everybody they've ever dated, everywhere they've ever lived. We talk to former coaches, former school teachers, neighbors, parents, ex-girlfriend or boyfriend's parents, everybody. So we're seeing what kind of person this is to make sure that they are the right fit for the Kingsport Police Department. And of course, if they go on to we like what we see in the background investigation, then we're going to move on, and they're going to go through an intensive physical exam with a doctor, and then a psychological exam with a psychologist. And then if they pass all that, then at that point they're subject to being hired. So it's a very intensive process. It takes quite a bit of time, but again, we want to make sure that we have the right folks doing this job, and not the people that are going to bring these national news stories that we've seen in other jurisdictions.
That's really hurt the police, I think, hearing stuff and getting a bad rap. And what would we do without the police department? I mean, I'm scared to even think what would happen without the police department. So I don't understand what's going on with all that.
Well, it's so important that you hire the right folks that make the right decisions, because 99% of us do it right every day, and it just takes one person making a wrong choice at the wrong time, in the wrong place, and then it tarnishes the whole reputation. So we want to make sure we get the right folks in the beginning, so that they'll make that right choice when the time comes.
Okay, well, let's go over the timeline again.
Okay, so again, you've got to get that application in online, City of Kingsport's website, by October 3rd. Notifications go out by email and traditional mail on October 4th. The physical agility test is on October 19th, and then the board interviews are the following week, the week of the 25th through the 29th.
Okay, so it takes a few weeks from the time, and it's open now, right?
Yes, absolutely. You can apply today, right now.
Okay, right now. Applications open right now. And this would be a great job. I mean, you love it.
I do. And looking back at the last 26 years of doing this, I can't imagine having done anything else. It's just been a really good career for me. I'm not the type of person who could have sat in an office without a window looking at a computer screen all day long. I needed to get out in the outdoors and talk to people, and so this was a really good job for me. It's not a job that you're going to get rich in, but you're certainly not going to go hungry. You have great job security. As long as you do your job correctly, you have no risk of getting laid off. due to poor production that you might see at big companies. But starting pay, I can go over that. Starts off at just under $17 an hour, which works out to a little bit over $35,000 a year. But then it goes up relatively quickly after that. As soon as you come off probation after the first year, it jumps up, and then you get raises every year after that that are scheduled. As well as if somebody is experienced and brings prior law enforcement experience to the table, we go ahead and boost their salary right away. We give 1 year step raise for every 2 years of prior experience. So if somebody's been a police officer for 10 years somewhere else, for example, they come in making the same thing as somebody who's been here 5 years. So it can really help you out.
And what's important too these days are benefits.
Absolutely, and of course the city of Kingsport has a long list of great benefits. I can go over those. Direct payroll deposit, paid vacation, holiday and sick leave, life insurance, dependent life insurance, long-term disability, of course employee and family health insurance, dental and vision insurance, flexible spending accounts, and then we have a 401 retirement with matching, as well as an optional 457 retirement. So.
Fantastic. And again, the website real quick.
kingsporttn.gov, and then click on the tab that says jobs.
Very good. Tom, thank you so much. That's very good information. I appreciate you being here today.
Well, thanks for having us.
You've been a great officer, and it'd be great to get several more, at least 9, just like you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And we'll be back with more. This is A Closer Look.